What's packing, everybody? It's your boy Godchild, first of his name. This is the What's Packing Sports Show. Welcome back to another episode. Today we talking about the Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst press conferences that they held after the draft. They talked about the draft, but they also got asked questions about Rodgers. So I'll just kind of bring up everything as it came up by the reporters and give a little bit of my intake, my input on the subject at hand. Okay, LaFleur was first, and when asked about Rodgers right out the gate, as to be expected, he says that he wants to do everything that he can in his power to make sure that 12 is back. He thinks that he is the best to ever do it, and that he doesn't want to think about Rodgers not being there in a Green Bay Packers jersey come the fall, right, when the season kicks off, and that he hopes, that he will be back. And look, I think LaFleur said everything that he had to say, right? You know what I'm saying? He kept it kind of PC. But I find it a little hard to believe that it's so tragic and traumatic for you to think about Rodgers not being the Green Bay Packers quarterback when just last year you and Gutekunst were in cahoots to draft his replacement. So obviously, you've thought about this, and by this I mean Rodgers not being in a Green Bay Packers uniform in the near future, the very near future, because if you weren't thinking about that, then you wouldn't have drafted his potential replacement in the first round in 2021. So save it, LaFleur. I'm not buying it. The topic of Amari Rodgers came up, and LaFleur says he believes he can be a dual threat returner, both in the punt and kickoff game, and that he's a great route runner. And I really love this Amari Rodgers pick, and I think he can. And they also said that they believe that he can run a lot of that Tyler Ervin, do that Tyler Ervin roll, the jet sweeps, and the motion man. And I think he fits perfectly into this scheme, in this system. And I can't wait to see what they cook up with this with Amari Rodgers. I thought this was another interesting question that he got asked about taking the next step, and he said, I quote, "It takes hard work and putting everything you have into it." And I think a lot of people are trying to figure out what's going on with this Aaron Rodgers situation. And rightfully so. There's been a lot said, and there's been a lot alleged, and we don't really know what's going to happen. I think that Rodgers is dug in, but there's a narrative out there that the Packers haven't done enough to surround Rodgers with talent, that the Packers have wasted his career, the Packers have done him have been wrong, that Rodgers is being wronged by the Green Bay Packers organization, and I just think that narrative is absolute bullshit. This team was the number one offense last year, and you don't become the number one offense just because you have a Hall of Fame quarterback. Okay, you have to have pieces on offense. You have to have an offensive line that blocks and pass protects. Okay, you have to have receivers that get open and catch passes. You have to have running backs that like this. The point I'm trying to make is this is a good team, okay? And they can, I think they're really close. And even if you take Rodgers off of this roster, this is still a top 5 team, head to toe. And I think that they can get it done. But like LaFleur said, if they're going to get it done, they do have to put all of their energy into this thing. And Rodgers, who's supposed to be the leader of this team, is going on the Pat McAfee show and talking about how he would like to play football and host Jeopardy at the same time. That doesn't sound like somebody who's willing to put everything he has and work hard into this season, put a lot of hard work into this season to get over the hump. And I feel like that's been the biggest issue with Rodgers is his commitment and his focus to winning and his dedication and his obsession with being a champion. I just don't think it's there. And that's why I don't think he'll ever win another ring. I don't care where he goes. Gutekunst was asked about Rodgers reportedly wanting his head, so to speak. As the report came out, not too long ago that apparently Rodgers would ask for the Green Bay Packers to have Gutekunst replaced as a condition upon him returning, which is absolutely ridiculous. Okay. When talking about the draft, Gutekunst remarked that they really thought they considered taking. They were really close to taking Amari Rodgers in the second round. So when the opportunity came back around in the third, they traded up to go get the guy that they really liked, and they were really happy that he was still there. And he said that was one of the bright moments of the draft for him. He said that he felt like this draft would increase, upgraded the level of competition and added some quality to their depth. And I do think that that's very important for this team, because we saw last year when a couple of guys went down, and they've been pretty healthy though, but when a couple of guys went down, especially David Bakhtiari, we didn't really have a backup behind him that was good enough to be able to hold down the left tackle position, and it really was one of the major factors to why we lost against Tampa Bay. If you ask me, just couldn't keep Aaron Rodgers clean. They are going to need to have. They needed to increase the level of competition. They needed to increase the level of play at certain positions like offensive line and on defense. And I think all of the draft picks address those issues. When talking about that in particular, again, special teams came up, and he said that he thinks that Amari Rodgers can be a special teams guy. And I feel like it's been a while since the Packers have drafted somebody like an Amari Rodgers who they feel like can be a starter on offense and on special teams. But what usually happens is once those guys become so valuable to the offense, they take them off of special teams, even when they were good. I remember when Randall Cobb was drafted, literally his very first play, I want to say, was like a kickoff return as a rookie. So we'll see how good Amari Rodgers can be in that role and how long he'll be able to stay there once he sort of acclimates himself to the starting position, into a starting role in the offense as well. Then Gutekunst was asked how this Rodgers situation might affect other members on the team, specifically Davante Adams. And interestingly enough, I thought that was a really good point. That's a really good point by the reporter. And it seems though but Gutekunst said that he hadn't given much thought to it. And I think that kind of doesn't make sense to me. It's like you know that Davante Adams and Rodgers are really close. As soon as this news was public news on draft day, I would have reached out to Davante Adams my damn self and got on the phone, even while the draft is getting ready to happen. I just would have got Adams on the phone just to know what he knew and to see, what information he had about it, and just to kind of talk to him and make sure he was okay. Because Adams could be a big part of this offense moving forward. I think he's due for a contract extension. We don't know if they're going to extend him or not, but he's coming up on the individual deal, and he's 30, and I think that Adams could play probably another 5-6 years at a high level, late into his mid-30s, and he's a guy that I'd rather them keep, but maybe they might not be able to. So maybe that's the reason why he hadn't thought much about it, because he in his mind he already knows that he doesn't plan to have either one of them back in 2022. So who knows. And then the topic came up, as it has before in the past, about Rodgers having input into some of the personnel decisions, and Gutekunst said that he welcomes such input, and that basically from his point of view that Rodgers should know that his door is always open, and he's always welcome to get any input from Rodgers on what they might do in the draft and free agency. And I'm sorry, Mr. Gutekunst, but I think that is a complete load of bullshit, because if that were the case, Aaron Rodgers would have known last year when you were drafting Jordan Love. You would have gotten on the phone, you would have brought him into the office, you would have talked to him about, hey Rodgers, look, we're going to draft Jordan Love. This does not mean we want to get rid of you, but we do want to raise the level of competition. And we want to push you. And we want to make sure that you stay sharp. And we want to make sure that if something happens to you, we have a guy who we think is talented enough to step in and continue to play quarterback at a high enough level. We didn't have that with Flynn. We didn't have that with Braun. We didn't have that with all these Tim Boyle. We didn't have that before. We need that if we're going to be a real good team, because we saw when you went down in the past how things turned out. Now I believe that this team is a much better team than those teams in the past, and is better equipped to play at a higher level without Rodgers. But you need to have a competent player there, and it'd be good to have somebody who has like a really talented person there. And that harkens back to the comment he made about the level of competition. Like, it's good to have competition on your team so guys don't get complacent, even Hall of Famers. Because I do think one of the biggest issues for Rodgers is complacency. And like I said, his lack of focus on football. It's always on something else. Jeopardy, going to see the Dalai Lama, this thing or that thing. Is like, bro, I want to have you be all locked in on football, and I don't think it is. And I don't think it was a problem what the Packers organization did bringing in Jordan Love, but I just think the way they handled it was bad. But don't sit here and try to make me believe, Mr. Gutekunst, that you're this open door policy guy and that Rodgers should know that he can always come to me and let me know what he thinks. Well, even if he does come to you and let you know, why would he feel like you're going to listen or actually take what he says into consideration when making picks or signing free agents? We all know Ted Thompson wasn't about that. Ted Thompson, under his regime, coaches coach, players play, the general manager picks players. That's how shit works. I don't need no input from Aaron Rodgers, okay? So I don't buy that, what Gutekunst is saying, because like I said, if that were the case, I feel like they would have told Aaron Rodgers last year they were drafting Jordan Love, and they didn't. So let me know what you guys think about all of the different comments and topics that came up during the two interviews with LaFleur and Gutekunst. What do you have to think about the Aaron Rodgers situation, all the rumors? Do you feel like, are you still in denial, or have you kind of accepted that things are going to might be looking a lot different around here at 1265 Lombardi Avenue coming into 2021 season, whether we like it or not? Look, that's it for the show today. If you haven't done so yet, please hit that subscribe button for me and the notification bell, and give this a thumbs up. I appreciate all your support. Go, Pack, go, as I like to say at the end of every show. And remember, the Bears, even though they drafted Justin Fields and Khalil Herbert, still suck. All right, y'all. I'll see you next time. Peace.
Puda, you the GOAT, boy.